Welcome to the second lecture of the course on growth mindset. Carol Dweck has done an enormous amount of research on the topic of mindset and the impact that it has on achievement. She has distinguished two mindsets, fixed and growth. A fixed mindset is one that hinges on the belief that we are born with a fixed potential, a belief that we have innate talents and intelligence that cannot be changed. Much research on brain plasticity, or the ability for the brain to grow and change, has been done in recent years, throwing a wrench into the belief of a fixed mindset and creating a new idea of growth mindset. Dweck's research has confirmed that the brain actually grows and changes just like any other muscle. When you learn or practice, your brain grows smarter, so to speak. In addition to the extensive research that is pointing to the idea that the brain can grow and change, many anecdotes about people overcoming initial difficulties in learning, whether academic or physical, have helped to support this idea. A growth mindset is the idea that through hard work, people can achieve high levels of success despite any lacking innate abilities. I like the image of a path being worn because it's being walked on every day. Through deliberate practice, where you're actually setting goals and working towards those goals by actually putting forth effort, you can get better at something despite your innate talent with the skill. I want to describe deliberate practice a little bit further because many students tell me that they've already worked at things and have not improved, and they're convinced that this is proof that they cannot succeed at whatever the skill is. Deliberate practice requires that we not just perform the task or skill, but deliberately try to get better at it. For example, I sometimes ride my bike with my dogs on my road, and there's a long, steep hill on the way. I used to just walk my bike up that hill with the idea that I would never be able to make it all the way, so why bother? And one day I decided to go a little bit further each day, even if it was only 25 feet or so. In just a couple of weeks, I was riding up the entire hill instead of walking. This didn't happen until I deliberately committed to doing a specific action to get better. Angela Duckworth provided a similar example in one of her talks. She described how she ran each day the same run and never got any faster. She shared this with Anders Ericsson, another researcher, who asked her a simple question: have you tried to run faster? This is the key to deliberate practice. It's practicing with a goal of trying to get better and actually taking some action that increases achievement each time you practice the skill. I have personally found that when I think of my overall goal, it's more difficult to start. If I had tried to ride my bike all the way up the hill the first time, I probably would have failed and lost motivation, which is what happens to many students. But when I gave myself just a small step, I was able to increase just a little each time. I see this type of example all the time from students, and for myself, even though I am keenly aware of it. Last week, a student called me over for assistance on a math problem. He informed me that he couldn't do it, and I asked him what he had tried. He began telling me about all the outcomes that wouldn't work, and again I asked what might be the first step. He was struggling because he was looking for the end product instead of one small action step that might get him to a final outcome. Another recent example occurred just today, but I've been procrastinating for about a week because I was focused on the final outcome rather than the next step. I was informed last week that there was a new version of WordPress that I should be updating on my website, but first I had to back up my website. I know this isn't important, but I had no idea how to do it, so I just kept adding it to my to-do list. Finally, this morning, I decided to check YouTube for a tutorial, and lo and behold, it was right there, and the process was simple with one plugin install. Check out Will Smith's interview on the brick wall for another great example of this. So believe you can do it and find one small step that would get you closer to the final goal. So a growth mindset is a belief that even if you weren't born with innate abilities, they can be learned. Kids who believe this are more likely to be motivated to try and therefore more motivated or more likely to achieve. Kids and adults with fixed mindsets are less likely to try things that don't come easily right off and therefore less likely to achieve in that area. Every day, students tell me that they don't know how to do various skills, solve certain equations, or know a certain vocabulary word, and a slew of other skills. They say this as if They believe they should have been born knowing how to solve equations or born knowing every word in the dictionary. Of course, that seems ridiculous when you say it like that. So watch the videos on Dweck's research and consider your own mindset. We'll discuss how the idea of growth mindset impacts other skill areas in future lectures.